Chapter 19. The Icelandic Saga. Amidst the aftermath of their showdown at the British Open, Mountain, Austin, and Johnny next embarked on an epic journey to Iceland, drawn by both the allure of adventure and the promise of vast discovery. Renting a Mercedes camper van that was a cross between a mobile party palace and a Viking longship, they set out to conquer the land of fire and ice in a style all their own. Their first stop was the iconic Blue Lagoon, where they luxuriated in the warm, mineral-rich waters and scoped out the world-class ladies that seemed to gravitate to this particular corner of the globe. Their cares seemed to melt away like snowflakes on the surface of a bubbling hot spring. And as they continued to lounge in the soothing embrace of the lagoon, they raised their glasses in a toast to their friendship and to the countless adventures that lay in front of them. From there, they next embarked on a whirlwind tour of Iceland's most famous attractions, their camper van hurtling down the winding ring road like a thundering chariot of old. They marveled at the breathtaking beauty of the Golden Circle, with its thundering waterfalls and steaming geysers, feeling as if they had stumbled into a realm of myth and legend. Their journey next took them to the picturesque town of Akureyri, nestled amidst snow-capped mountains and serene fjords, where they were greeted with open arms by the friendly locals and the promise of endless revelry. They drank and smoked to their heart's desire beneath the ethereal glow of the northern lights, with their laughter echoing across the star-studded sky like a chorus of celestial beings. But perhaps the most unforgettable moment of their Icelandic adventure was their pilgrimage to Grimsey Island, just to the north of Akureyri, where they stood on the very edge of the Arctic Circle, with their spirits soaring as high as the sun that hung like a golden orb in the sky. As they traced the invisible line that marked the boundary between the familiar world and the great unknown, they felt a sense of awe and wonder wash over them like a tidal wave. Throughout their journey, their eccentric tour guide, named Buck, regaled them with tales of Icelandic folklore and superstition. Austin really seemed to like Buck for some reason, and he soon gifted Buck a St. Louis Cardinals cap that the Icelander eagerly accepted and then wore atop his head as if it were a crown of wisdom. Despite his peculiarities and his piss-poor taste in baseball teams, Mountain and Johnny also grew to appreciate Buck's unique perspective on life, embracing his eccentricities as part of the rich tapestry of their Icelandic adventure. In the days that followed their trip to Grimsey Island, they roamed the windswept plains and rugged coastlines of northern Iceland. They forged memories that could last a lifetime in a more sober mind, their hearts brimming with both the joy of discovery and the thrill of adventure. And in the evenings they would return to Akureyri, where they found themselves captivated by the town's charm and beauty. It was a majestic destination that looked and felt much like an oceanside version of a Bavarian ski village. Mountain and Austin greatly enjoyed basking in its welcoming embrace and truly savored every single moment of their Icelandic odyssey. The only time that they nearly found any real trouble over the first week of their trip was when Johnny drank one too many Einstock beers and attempted to ride a miniature Icelandic horse before Buck was able to whisk the group away back to their campground rather quickly before law enforcement, or possibly animal control, was forced to get involved. Austin then tipped Buck privately with 1,000 British pounds, which he must have forgotten to convert to a more useful currency in the wake of his British Open victory. Later on that same day, Mountain also attempted to tip Buck with the third largest of his dank buds of the sticky yicky that he still had in his possession, but Buck refused the second tip and said something about how Austin had already taken care of him. Mountain thought to himself that he personally would have certainly accepted both of the tips if he were in Buck's shoes, and then he proceeded to smoke the would-be tip and forget about the matter in its entirety. He then became so very stoned that he tried to show Buck his own personally branded dance, the iconic Beanfield Shuffle, but the Icelander took no real interest, much to Mountain's dismay. In Akureyri, Iceland's northern capital, known for its enchanting vistas and captivating landscapes, Mountain, Austin, Johnny, and Buck next found themselves seized by a wild notion: to embark on a game of golf under the bewitching glow of the evening sun. The idea was as absurd as it was irresistible, and with a gleeful sense of reckless abandon, they next set off in search of a golf course bathed in the otherworldly light of the Arctic summer. Their journey then led them to a hidden gem nestled amidst the rugged beauty of the Icelandic countryside, where the fairways stretched out like emerald ribbons under the ethereal glow of the sun. With their clubs in hand and their spirits soaring ever so high, they teed off into the bright night, with their laughter echoing across the formerly silent landscape like the tinkling of fairy bells. As they continued to meander their way through the course, their game began to take on a surreal quality, as if they had stumbled into a dream where the rules of reality no longer applied. Balls soared high through the air like they were shooting stars, disappearing into the sun before reappearing on the distant Icelandic horizon, while the shadows danced and flickered like mischievous sprites. Amidst the whimsy and wonder of the late-night hour, Mountain and Austin could not help but to resist the urge to engage in a bit of friendly competition. They proposed a game of best ball, with the two of them teaming up against Johnny and Buck. But their offer was met with a chorus of protest, as Johnny and Buck quickly declared that they were content to simply enjoy the game without the pressure of competition. Mountain thought to himself how unfortunate this was, since he really wanted to task someone else, anyone else really, with keeping track of his own score, as well as Austin's score. Ironically, the two amateur golfers would have stood a pretty good chance though, since on this fateful night, Austin and Mountain were clearly the most wasted of the four men. Undeterred, Mountain and Austin pressed on, their banter growing more animated with each and every passing hole. They traded playful jabs and witty retorts, with their voices mingling with the sound of chirping crickets and rustling leaves. And as the night wore on and the Einstock beer began to flow as freely as their pot and cocaine, their laughter grew louder and more raucous, echoing through the stillness of the Icelandic night like a true symphony of joy. But amidst all of the revelry and merriment, there was a palpable sense of magic in the air, as if they had stumbled upon a secret portal to another realm where the time stood still and anything was possible. With each swing of the club, they now felt a sense of liberation wash over them, like they were tapping into the primal essence of the game itself, and as if they were somehow transcending the boundaries of ordinary existence to touch something divine. And then, as the group realized that they were somehow teeing off on the first tee for the third time in a row, and at least the fifth time overall that very night, they ever so slowly began to come to the inevitable conclusion that their late-night golfing adventure was drawing to an end. And so, with a mixture of both reluctance and exhilaration, they somewhat awkwardly gathered up their clubs, which were rather strewn about across several fairways, and finally made their way back to the clubhouse, with their hearts full and their spirits soaring like eagles flying free. Upon their departure from the links, the men then stumbled valiantly to the parking lot and slept off the rest of their buzz for a few hours in their rented camper van before being awoken by the owner of the rather majestic golf course. Mountain and Austin attempted then to provide the man, who they suspected to be an avid golfing fan, with both of their autographs on some 8 by 10-inch photos that Austin now kept of himself, within an arm's reach at all times. But the man instead protested and made them promise to never return to the course again, and then finally mentioning something about finding numerous beer cans and various sizes of clear plastic baggies all over the course. The longer that the country club's owner rambled on at the newly awoken group, the more annoyed with them he seemed to become. This may have been slightly embarrassing to Buck the tour guide, but of little to no consequence to Austin, Johnny, or Mountain. As they sped away, the only words were spoken by Mountain, who was by now out of clean clothes, and stated to Austin, as he searched through his mentor's way too fancy suitcase for a clean shirt to wear, "I was going to just put my own autograph on one of your fancy photos for that guy before he started to get so annoyed with us, Austin. I carry a lot of stuff in my luggage too, my friend. But no pictures of myself like you do, no glossy ones, no headshots, no action shots, none. And for the record, I also carry no ointments, no lotions, and no damned creams like you do either. I myself am much too manly for all of that shit, Austin." And then, after a few more seconds slowly passed by, Austin just smiled, shook his head, and then wrangled his suitcase back from Mountain, presumably to regain access to his many lotions, ointments, and creams. And though they may have lost track of both time and score amidst the chaos and confusion of the late-night sun, they had gained something far more precious. Memories that would last as long as their beer-soaked brains could hold on to them, forged in the cauldron of laughter, friendship, drugs, and the boundless magic of the Icelandic sun. And with that, Johnny and Mountain caught a ride towards home on the chartered plane procured by Austin Graff. They headed back to Beanfield, as Austin continued on back to his fancy Soulard residence and his namesake country club in Ladue. They would all see each other again in about 9 months at the Masters, but not a day sooner as per a brand new gentleman's agreement between Austin and Mountain. After all, the two of them spending time together may do the pair of them some good spiritually, but it most certainly would not do either of their golf games any damned favors,